Hi, it's Piro. I'm going to talk about election reform. And it's really funny that we will go in America and kill other people. People we don't understand. We'll just kill them because we're told it's going to protect democracy. But the ideas I'm about to state make people nervous. And should we really do it? Should we really touch the system? And yet they make a lot more logical sense. They're more logically connected to saving democracy. Democracy is very important, and it requires intentional, you know, practices that promote it. The first thing is simple as campaign finance reform, and let's just stop for a second before we think about, oh, tax money going into politics and stuff like this. Just the issue of a congressperson has to get elected every 2 years, and they need so many millions of dollars. They really, to keep their job, they have to be on the phone 8 or 10 hours a day trying to collect these donations. That is their job. If you have a job you're supposed to do but you can ignore, and there's other stuff you can do to keep that job, then that's your real job. Whatever it is you need to do to keep that job, that's your real job. And right now, the real job of congresspeople is to collect money so that they can run again. We need to change that, and that can be changed a lot of ways. There's a lot of options. We need to discuss those options, and we need to get one of those ways in place. Now, another thing I think that has to happen is we need a fixed infrastructure for elections. I mean, our elections are just as important as getting the mail from one place to another. We ought to have the equivalent of post offices. Now, I'm fine with people voting online as well, but obviously you need a fixed infrastructure so that people, if their internet is down or if they don't trust the internet or whatever reason, they can go and vote in person. And these should be fixed infrastructures ready to use and waiting for every 2 years. And in the meantime, in between those 2 years, representatives could put poll questions that, instead of just being polls that are used in this country so much but by private organizations, this would be people officially registering their opinion, and those opinion polls could have more weight, even though scientifically they wouldn't be more accurate. Because it's a democracy, the fact that there's self-selected voters would be okay, right? Because if you really care about that, you should go down or log on and register your opinion. And the third thing is instant runoff voting. Now, if you don't know what instant runoff voting is, basically it's this. And again, there's other options, but I think instant runoff voting is the best. Instead of just one vote, you have multiple votes, but they're ranked. So you give your first vote to someone, your second vote, your third vote, and so on. Now, the benefit of this is, let's say when Ross Perot was running against Clinton and Bush, someone could vote for Ross Perot first and then put Bush or Clinton as their second vote. Now, if Ross Perot doesn't win the first round, all the first votes added up, there's no majority for Ross Perot, no 51% majority, then all the people that voted for Ross Perot there would go to their second round vote. And their votes would be split up like that. And you see if you have 51% and you continue with the other losing candidates. Now, it can be complicated to rank 5 or 6 candidates, but you don't really have to do that. I mean, to use your full vote, you would rank every candidate. But if you want, you could just vote for one person. Or if you want, you can just vote for a couple people when you think you're voting for a spoiler. And this would allow less popular people to run. This would allow us to vote our conscience without giving up, the practical results that we hope for. And it would, eventually, what would happen is somebody that nobody thinks could win would surprisingly win in the first round. And this would change politics significantly. And I think it's something we should definitely do. Seems like a big change to our system? Not really. I mean, if you want democracy and you see there's a mathematical problem with the way we're counting votes now, then what's the problem with using a better way? Similarly, with fixed infrastructure, it might seem like an expense, and it is an expense. But then again, we vote 1, 2, even 3% of our votes are miscounted. That's 2 or 3 votes out of every 100 people that are miscounted. And it really shouldn't be that way in the modern world. We ought to be able to, vote with 1 million, votes counted accurately with no more than 1 miscounted per million. And so that would be the goal with the fixed infrastructure. So I'm curious what anybody else's ideas on these. I think these are important ideas. I think a lot falls from this. If we get our elections and our democracy better, then the people have a lot of ideas already that can flow up and improve our nation and our world.